Hi there, Vinny from Project Frugal. Today we've got an extra special guest. It's Late Starter Fire, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, and she's going to be sharing with us her insights into the fire movement, how she got started, and how she's saving for her retirement. So check it out. Well, lovely to meet you finally. How are you?
Yeah, well, thanks, Vinny. Yeah, it's really good to see you to put a face on you.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's cool. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I live in Melbourne in Australia. I'm 51, started my fire journey at 47, or the year I turned 47. So yeah, much later than other people. But yeah,
Yep. So you've been doing fire for 4 years.
for 4 years, yeah.
Yep. Yep. And how did you hear about fire?
I think I was Googling. I was feeling really stressed out. I had a really demanding job. I work in healthcare, and um, and I don't know. Just one day, I woke up and I was really anxious about, um, yeah, just anxious about retiring, anxious about how much I had, in and I knew I didn't have enough to retire, and I had to look it up, etc. And then I felt really anxious about it.
Oh
So
yeah.
then yeah, I just knew that I didn't have enough to retire, and the whole subject of retirement was really stressful. I hadn't thought about it before, but because work was really stressful, and I thought, well, I can't work, at this pace for the next 20 years or so. What else can I do, sort of thing. And when I started Googling how much I needed to retire, and somehow the fire blocks came up, and somehow, yeah, the algorithm, I don't know why, but it came up, and I thought, oh wow, these people are retiring in their 30s. I mean, that's, I was already 47, so that was,
Yeah.
not on the cards anymore. But I was thinking, wow, it's amazing that they could retire at 30. And then as I delved into it, and I thought, well, if they can do it in 10 to 15 years, then maybe we can too. Like maybe I can as well. So yeah, so that's where it started.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So you started at 47. What's the sort of retirement age normally in Australia there?
Well, we can't touch our superannuation, which is our retirement account, till we're 60.
Yeah.
But the government pension, the age pension, starts at 67 for people my age anyway.
Okay.
Starts at 67. So most people kind of work up to there,
Yeah.
to be able to claim the pension. A lot of my workmates, like a lot of my colleagues, are well in their 60s and 70s. Like nobody
Oh,
seems to retire early. So
yeah.
even if I say I'm going to retire at 55, that's considerably earlier than, traditional retirement sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously you can keep working once you hit 67 in Australia and get your pension, as it were.
No, I don't. No, you won't be able to get your pension because
Oh,
it's
okay.
income tested. Yeah, it's
Oh, I see.
income. It's asset or income tested. So you won't be able to do it if you don't. Yeah.
Okay, well,
But
that's good.
the pension isn't that much. If do you know what I mean? Like as a single person, it's only about 20 something thousand dollars a year. So if you
Right.
can live on that, then. But a lot of people reckon that they can't live on that amount. So yeah. So they
Right.
keep working. Yeah.
Right. It's slightly different over here. It's as soon as you hit 65, it's I think they pay you, it's probably even less, it's about $18,000. But once you hit 65, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, you get it no matter what.
Oh
So
wow.
which
Wow.
could be good, if you're living in
Yeah.
uh
That's really good.
yeah. And you've got I from what I've heard, I think Australia's got quite a generous superannuation scheme, or the employer puts in 10% or something like that. I could be wrong.
Yes. So it started off less than that. So at the moment, it's 10.5%. So they want to get it to 12%.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So at the moment, it's 10.5%. So yes, that is quite generous. But then our wages haven't increased much either. So
Oh,
there's a debate. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a debate on whether increasing it then forces, so the employer has to pay that extra 10.5%. So they're not going to reward you more,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So but I am grateful for that 10.5% because it just means that my money has a chance to grow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's forced savings, but it's yeah,
Do you
I'm
do you,
really grateful
do
for
you
that.
have to
Yeah.
put in 10.5% from your wages and they match it, or?
No,
Oh,
it's
they just
automatic. Yeah,
they just
they
put
have.
the right.
Yeah, that's right. They put that in before you get your pay.
Right,
Yeah,
slightly
yeah.
different here. You have to you can do it or you don't have to do it, and the minimum is
Oh,
3%. So I
right.
put in 3%, and the government puts in 3%, or the employer puts in 3%. At the
Yeah.
end of the year, as long as you've saved over $1,000, $1,042, you get $521 from the government as well. So it's not as much, but some employers can put more than that in. But hey, it's something at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So here, the government jobs, the governments are with government jobs, government departments, and all that. They're actually a lot more generous. Some
Right.
people, some of them are like even 15%
Yeah.
contribution. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the normal, the general is 10.5%. Yeah. So we can salary sacrifice, what we call it.
Yep.
More if you want to. So the maximum is 27,500 a year, including the employer's contributions.
Right.
So you can make it up. So your if you can work out what your employer's contribution might be, like it might be $10,000. So you can then put in extra, yeah, and you can do it before that you get paid. So it works out tax savings. It does work out because you're only being taxed 15% compared to what you normally get taxed at. So your marginal rate could be 32% or 37%, depending on what your income is.
Okay.
Then yeah, it makes sense to put it into super. The only thing is you can't touch it till you're 60, and
Yep.
that puts a lot of people off. Yeah.
Right. So you've been doing the fire movement for 4 years. What's your sort of timeline to when you actually reach retirement, when you can hypothetically quit your job and
Probably another 4 years. Yeah.
okay.
So I think so. That's why I say I'm grateful for superannuation, because when I started work, that was when they brought it in,
Yep.
and slowly over time, I can't remember. I can't remember what the original percentage was that they had the mandatory contribution from the employer, but because I've worked all along those 30 years, something has been going in.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and with compound interest, etc. It
Yep.
was money that I didn't count on. It was money that I didn't realize I had
Yep.
until I started, down this journey and actually, starting to be engaged with my money, starting actually to look into what I had and what I didn't, that sort of stuff. So
Yep.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then I chose to load that up first with the superannuation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's quite exciting being on this journey, isn't it?
Yes.
When you can sort of see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. All those years of working, potentially one day hypothetically, you might be able to sleep in. That'd be quite nice.
Yes. Yes, that's the one thing that I'm really looking forward to. No alarm clocks. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
no alarm clocks. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yes. The
Uh,
only, I suppose, every time like someone older finds the fire community, like we always think that, oh, it's too late for me, or or it's like, I wish I'd found it sooner. But I guess, whenever you start, it's
yeah.
not too late.
And
Yeah.
and you talk about a light bulb moment on your blog.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I had a light bulb moment when I think I was 44 and a half, and well, yeah, 44, and light bulb moment working in a job that I absolutely didn't really like. I'm
Yeah.
going to be nice. And that was my light bulb moment, paying the mortgage on the credit card. It doesn't get worse than that at the time. And yeah, I found your blog shortly after, well, I don't know how long ago it was, but probably at least a couple of 3 years ago. How long has your blog's been going since you
Uh,
started fire, or
August 2018, late August
2018?
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I found your blog a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months or 2 years ago, and yeah, obviously it resonated with what I'm trying to do as well. Being sort of older and thinking about retirement, too late. Well, not really too late, because I have thought about it and I'm doing something about it, which is
That's
good.
right. That's right. I don't think it matters when you start, so long as you start and yeah.
I agree. And did you start the blog for what sort of reasons did you start the blog for?
First of all, the very, very first reason is accountability, because I knew myself well. Like, I'm not very accountable to myself.
Yeah.
I like to start projects and then I don't complete them, or that sort of stuff. So I knew that, and a lot of my friends, like, nobody wanted. None of my friends or family were in that sort of situation and wanted to retire early and that sort of stuff. So I knew, in real life, I wasn't going to have that support.
Yeah.
So basically I started that as an accountability tool, basically, because I thought if I were talking about it publicly to somebody is going to hold me accountable for that. It's a long journey. Like, no matter what, it's 10 to 15 years kind of a journey.
Yeah.
And it's long. And the steps are simple, but they're not kind of easy. And I think it's easy to start, but it's hard to keep going. So I knew me. So I thought, well, if I start to write about it, etc., then it'll keep me interested, it will keep me going. And so the second reason was also because a lot of the fireys are young people. Everything I read was like, they were retiring in their 30s and their 40s. I couldn't find anyone who was only starting in their 40s. So I thought, oh, well, I'll write about it, just another voice, in the fire community.
Yep.
And yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah, I think it's really good that you did do it for sort of older people, as it were, because a lot of these people that I see that are joining the fire movement, like you say, they're all sort of 20 something. They generally work in tech. They generally have six-figure salaries, and
Yep.
for the majority of people, that's not reality, is it?
That's right. Yeah, I've never earned a six-figure salary, like, my 30 years of working.
Yeah.
Even when I've worked really, really hard, like, lots of hours, etc., it's never been a six-figure salary. So,
But it is
yeah.
attainable for people like us who maybe we're not at the top end of the pay scale, but through hard work and dedication, anything's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, and being intentional with how you spend your money.
Yeah.
I think that's and investing first, paying yourself first, and all that sort of principles. So using the principles of fire, we can do it too. We just don't have to go. See, I wouldn't consider myself a very gung-ho fire person. Like, I mean, I use the strategies and all of that, and I would still describe myself as being in the fire community, but I am not gung-ho. Like, I don't try to eat $2 a meal, rice and beans and all that. That's what put me off when I first was reading about it. And I thought, oh, I don't know, I can't cycle everywhere. I can't eat rice and beans, and will this be for me? But I just thought I'd just give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah. So are you're pretty much saving most of your money at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what I do is my pay comes in every week, and every week, like, it comes in on a Wednesday. On a Thursday, it disappears. It goes into my brokerage account. So I buy ETFs. I have to be a bit careful here with ASIC here
Right.
in Australia. Yeah, so you're not allowed to talk about your what you invest in and that sort of stuff, because you're not supposed to influence other people.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I buy ETFs, basically an ETF exchange traded fund, and basically it tracks the top 300 companies on the Australian Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
So every week I put money into the brokerage firm, and then once it gets up to about 4 to 5 weeks, it will automatically buy some shares.
Okay.
So that's what I do. So I've automated that, so I don't need to think about that. So then what I've got left, then I put it into my sinking funds. So I've got sinking funds for travel, for emergency fund, for future car, etc. And then I just make sure that I put money in there, and whatever's left is whatever's left I've got to spend on.
Yep. And just talking about the ETFs side of things there. So how have you found the market this year? Because it's been pretty awful for me for what I've invested in. Up and down, volatile. Yeah.
Up and down, yeah, it's pretty volatile. But I guess what I found is that it doesn't really matter. Like, I just put that amount in. It's just buying the whole basket. It's diversified. And, like when we saw in the pandemic, for example, like, there'll be companies that are not doing well, like the travel companies, the airlines and all that, they don't do well then. But then, companies like Zoom and, whatever, that other companies do well, the healthcare companies did well. So if you're diversified, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're buying the whole market anyway. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
probably
eventually,
it's a good way of doing it. Just you don't have to worry about it. I've sort of gone down the opposite route where I am. I do have some ETFs, not a lot,
Mhm.
but I am investing in companies.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, well, it was kind of more for a learning curve from my side of things there. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to learn about it. I enjoy
Yeah.
the fluctuations and I love stats. So for
Yeah.
me as a numbers person, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But for you, different
Yeah.
priorities, and
Yeah.
ETF are going to go up. So that's the
Yeah.
way.
And I did start with doing companies, investing in individual companies when I first started.
Yeah.
Um, I so part of that, I was like I just knew that I needed to be diversified, but I didn't know about ETFs and all that at that stage. So what I did was I looked up the ASX, and then looked at all the categories, the various industries and all that, and then I just chose one from each of in the top 200 companies. I
Okay.
just chose one company from them, this sort of thing,
Yep.
and so I did that for, I think I had about it was more than 10. It was more than 10 companies, and so now I don't actually reinvest them anymore. I just left it as such. I didn't want to sell them because a lot of them have gone up.
Yep.
So I don't want the capital gains tax. I'll do that when I retire. Yeah. So then I switched to ETFs. So much easier. I don't have to worry about what they're doing. Don't need
Right.
and that
Yep.
sort of stuff.
You just chuck the money in and just let it
Yeah.
do its thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
there's another advantage of New Zealand over Australia. We don't pay capital gains here, so if it went up,
Oh.
it just goes up, and that's the way it is. Do you have have you invested in real estate or any other sort of asset classes?
No, well, only the house that I'm in.
Right.
So where I'm living, yeah. So I've paid that off.
Yep.
So that's the only, and I felt that because property prices are really high in Melbourne, and so I didn't have enough money to go and buy another investment property. And when I finished paying off my house, I didn't really want more debt.
Yep.
And I thought at this stage of my life, I really can't be bothered with tenants and and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So shares was just so much easier.
Yeah, it's certainly not for everyone. I've looked at real estate as well, and like you say, dealing with tenants and property maintenance and potential calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's
Yeah.
it doesn't shares, click a few buttons and you're done, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy,
Yeah.
really easy. You can automate the process. I automate the process. So sometimes I forget. All I know is money is going in there, and then all of a sudden I would get a pop up to go, oh, you bought 22 shares, and I think yes,
Yeah.
it's the escape fund is building, sort of thing. Especially when you're really stressed out at work, and suddenly you see that, you think, oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a good thing. So when you do eventually retire in 4 sort of years, presumably, how do you live? Does your pension sort of, or whatever money you've made, you're just going to have to live off that dividends?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. So I can't. So when I retire, well, if I retire hypothetically,
Yep.
at 55, I have 5 years before I can touch superannuation. So superannuation I can touch on at 60. So that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm building up the escape fund, the bridge the gap fund, I call it. So
Okay.
for that 5 years, so I can be able to live on that, and then draw on super when it's due. Yeah. So my strategy had been, when I found fire, was to contribute the maximum I could to superannuation. So at that stage, it was $25,000 a year. So I chose to do that because I knew, well, I was, in a job, and I didn't know who knows whether you've got a job in 10 years time or whatever. So then I did that because I also knew I had that time frame for it to grow before I can touch it. So I thought, if I just did that plus the tax benefits, etc., I did all that first. And then now I'm not contributing as much to super on my end. So I'm just concentrating now on building that 5-year fund, the
Okay.
bridge to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll live off the money that you've sort of saved up, and you'll get
Yeah,
dividends from your ETFs, presumably
that's right.
twice a year or however
That's right.
often they pay out, and
Yeah, yeah,
eventually, yeah, you'll have enough money to survive, and then eventually you'll, yeah,
yeah.
nice. Yeah, you get your pension out at 60, and well, or your super. So will you reinvest that in ETFs, or what will you do with that?
It depends because I think you can you're supposed to take 4 or 5%. I can't remember. They have a stepped like a tiered thing. So when you hit 70, they expect you to draw more out.
I see.
That sort of stuff. So yeah. So there is that they have a what do you call it, a tiered withdrawal
Yeah.
percentage that you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. So if I can manage to live on less, then yes, I will continue to invest. Yeah.
So you must be quite excited that if you've got it's in your case, it's an 8-year plan, isn't it? From when you started to hypothetically when you can retire. So you're halfway through now.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. Like I didn't expect it to go that quickly either, like the 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I just, when I first started, I was so anxious. I was so, like, you can tell from reading some of the things that I wrote. It was just, yeah. But before I found fire, I was actually a really happy-go-lucky person in terms of finances, so long as I had enough coming in. And I always worked, so I always had enough coming in. And I thought that, well, I'm okay because I can pay the mortgage, I can pay my bills. I'm doing okay. But you forget about your future. You forget that, sooner or later you won't have an income.
Yep.
And that's the bit that, that was lacking where I was concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, for your situation, 8 years, it is a sacrifice to some degree. Obviously, like you said before, you're not living on rice and beans and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So you're not on the bones, as it were, and having 2-minute noodles, which I do like actually. That's another story. Uh, so yeah, it's not too much of a sacrifice, but it does require dedication.
Yes, it requires being intentional. I think that's the key thing. You only have so much. I know. I mean, you can either reduce your expenses or you can increase your income. And I'm at that stage where increasing my income from my professional life is really stressful. It means that I have to take on more. I really honestly do not want to take on any more, only because I've gone through that. I've gone through being burnt out, etc., and I have no desire whatsoever to go back there.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes more sense to look at what I have coming in and making the best use of that. I'm not opposed to having a few side hustles or whatever, but I'm not gung ho about it. So I just do simple things like doing the surveys and things like that. It's nothing major, put it this way. Yeah.
Yep. So do you, in terms of side hustles, you've got your blog, and I believe you've got an action plan as well that you sell.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I guess it's something I wanted another income stream. I think the pandemic made me feel a bit insecure as well. I work in healthcare and it was very stressful. And you can either sometimes be really busy or it's kind of dead. And etc. So there's a lot of stress attached to it, but your income is still the same. And I don't know. So I felt a bit insecure then, and I thought, well, I really wanted another income stream. And I thought, well, I'm already writing a blog, so maybe I could try to monetize that. But with the action plan, it was basically something that I wish I had when I started, because I was just all over the place. I didn't know what to do. I was reading American blogs. I was reading Australian blogs as well, but they were really young, like the people that I followed, they were really young, like Dave from Strong Money Australia. He retired at 28.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's pretty young.
It's very young. So yeah. So I wrote the action plan basically for people like us who started later. And yeah. So
Yep.
that's what the action plan is about. Yeah,
Right.
just step
Oh,
by
that's
step guide,
cool.
step by
Yep.
step guide.
And presumably you're selling it and making a little bit of extra money out of it.
Yeah. Not incredibly a lot, but it's yeah.
It all adds up, doesn't it?
it all adds up, and that's exactly right. It all adds up. I mean, I haven't made enough to pay for all my courses and things that I do for the blog, etc.
Yeah.
That's still, it's not a money making venture still, but every little bit adds up,
Yeah,
like you say.
and it is, and you've at the end of the day, you've got it set up, you've got it working, you've got it functional. It's doing what it's designed to do. Potentially, you'll make a little bit of money out of it,
Yeah,
but it is educating people, and that's
yeah.
really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all or none. Like, you can still help people and make money,
Yeah,
or, it doesn't have to be all or none. It doesn't mean that if you help people, you don't get paid at all, etc. So, yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about your Late Starter Fire series, because I understand on your blog that you've got a whole bunch of people, besides myself, who is actually on there as well, who have put in blogs about their late starter fire journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first, like I said before, when I was starting to blog, I couldn't find anyone who was starting the journeys in their, later than the traditional fireys. So I just termed them as, like me, like late starters. So I was really interested in looking for other people who started in their, say, 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond, whatever, someone older than the traditional 20 something, 30 something people who start fire. And yeah, and then to my surprise, I found people. So then I've just interviewed them essentially, and shared their stories on the blog, and it's in the Late Starter to Fire series. And yeah, you're one of them. So, and it's just amazing because it's not just US based, because a lot of the blogs and things that we read are very US based. And so you think that, but then there's lots of people that they're Australians and Kiwis like you, there's South African, British, yes, definitely American. There's one from Malaysia, and one from Singapore. So yeah, it's quite amazing. And I was just really, yeah, I really loved finding people from all over the world, and everyone has different stories, different what do you call it, from different walks of life and different incomes. Not everyone is earning six-figure salaries, and and making it. So yeah.
Yeah, I've probably read all of the blogs on there, to be honest, because it is interesting getting different people's perspectives on the way
Yeah,
that they've gone about it. Like you say, that everyone's on different incomes and all the rest, different circumstances, but
yeah,
it all helps, doesn't it? It all helps
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep your own journey going, sort of thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting reading other people's strategies. I mean, the main thing is, everybody's spending less than they earn, and, we're investing, in whatever way we can, we're investing, etc. But it's just interesting that it's something that can be done. And we're not the only people out there. And there is actually a whole community of people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for myself, being on my personal journey, on my frugal journey, uh, beans. I love baked beans, and well, they're probably not my favorite food, but I love baked beans. In fact, I've got trays of baked beans in my shed at the moment, which I got on special,
Right.
and they'll get eaten. It's all good. I think they were 90 cents a can. So over in New
Right.
Zealand, that was cheap at the time. I don't know what they are now. Countdown brand, by the way. So they're made in Australia, probably. But yeah, like I say, I think I bought 3 trays of them. So that's what, 36 cans. But at the
Right.
end of the day, you save money. That's what I'm about on Project Frugal: saving money, investing,
Yeah.
all that sort of
Yes.
stuff. So are you
Yeah.
going to retire in Melbourne, or are you going to look at moving somewhere else?
No, I will not in Melbourne. I will retire in Melbourne. I haven't decided whether I want to really downsize or keep living where I am living. So at the moment, I'm just sprucing up the garden and doing any home maintenance projects that come up. I've got 4 years of salaries coming in, so I thought I'd do that. But yeah, but I do plan to travel. So I probably will travel maybe 3 months out of the year. I haven't really quite decided all of it, but that's in the budget kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And from what I read, you looking at you're going to Antarctica very soon.
Well, It's in the
Mm.
future. It's
Yep.
it's in the budget. Yes. So yeah. So Antarctica. Yeah, I do want to go to Antarctica. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's one of the places that I want to go to. But there's so many. Like my list of what I want to do in retirement, basically where I want to travel, is very long. So I'm trying to knock them out, as much as I can before. But it's really hard when you're working. We only have 4 weeks holidays, and
Right.
you have to, do it in conjunction with all your other workmates and all that. We can all go on holidays,
Yep.
all at once, that sort of stuff. So I can never have holidays in January, for example, because, a lot of people with children and all that take time off.
Right.
Yeah. So my
But,
first holiday will be in January when I go,
okay.
when I retire.
Yeah. Well, it's only another 4 years to suck it up. So that's
Yeah. It's
really
not
it's not
long.
that long, is it? It's what,
Yeah. No.
less than 1,500 days, and
Yeah.
oh, that's going to be a great day, isn't it? Do you have any advice for people who want to get into fire? Well, obviously, signing up to your blog is a great start.
Yeah. But yeah, basically to start where you are, I think, and like not to, we read a lot of blogs and all that, and then we kind of think, oh, maybe I should have done that, or maybe I should have done that, or etc. like that. But do look at your own journey, look at your own where you stand, rather than look at what other people like. Read other people's blogs and stuff, yes, to get ideas, but then apply that on your own, and not to be envious of what other people are doing, or not to compare, because I think that's really it discourages you when you start comparing and all that. It takes your eyes off your own journey, and I think that's where you need to focus, is your own journey. And it's not too late to start, and just start wherever. It doesn't matter, just start. But if you don't know where to start, okay, I mean, I do have an action plan, but the key is to start, and the first thing to work out is really where you stand. So, do your net worth, find out what assets you have, how much you owe, etc. At least know where you stand financially, and then things might not be as bad. And once you know where you stand financially, you can do something about it. You can see, oh, my debts are really bad. Okay, I need to do something about my debts, or I'm overspending on this area. Did it bring me joy? Am I happy with it? No. Well, maybe I can do something about it. Do I need to increase my income? But once you know where you stand financially, you know what to do, or you can find out what to do.
Yeah.
It's just that getting your head out of the sand, I think it's the main thing. You just need to be aware, and then you can do something about it.
Yeah, yeah, getting your head out of the sand. Yeah, having the light bulb moment. And for me, it was at the time eight or so years ago, owing 6 figures on the mortgage, and working in a job that I hated, and getting out of debt was my first priority for my
Yeah.
personal journey. And then once that had happened, great, I'm out of debt, and such a good feeling. And I presume you're out of debt as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's how. So when I found fire, I had just gone out of debt. Like, I just finished paying off the house.
Yep.
So I was thinking, oh, where can I, what should I do, sort of thing. But yeah, but it is a good feeling, and I don't know, like and I don't want to go into that debt again. So that's why also that I don't want to invest in property, because it requires a lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas with the shares, I don't need to go into debt to do that. I'm doing it in a slower manner. Sure, there are, you can try to release the equity from your house and try to and do all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted it simple, and yeah.
And talking about saving after you are out of debt, it's like every week that you save, doesn't matter how much, whether it's $10 or $500 or whatever it is, it's money that you didn't have the week before. And if you lose your job or something bad happens, you've always got that money to fall back on, rather than having
Yes.
having debts to pay and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
quite a liberating feeling, eh?
It is. It's just a weight off my shoulders. That's how I described it as. And I know people in the fire community, some people in the fire community don't think that having your own home is an investment, but because it's not bringing in income.
Yeah.
But it's kind of preventing me from spending, though. Like, I'm not having to pay out on rent. I'm not having to, sure, you have to maintain your house and you've got to pay council rates and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also, so that safety and that security was important to me. And being a single person, like in Australia, the biggest rise in homeless people are actually single women in their 50s, you know. So it's so to me it was really important that I have that security, and once I've got my own house, no one can kick me out of it, you know. Like, I mean, failing to pay my council rates maybe, you know, but other than that, I'm safe. So with that, then I can look elsewhere. I can look elsewhere and start investing. Yeah.
Yep. No, awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a real pleasure getting to, well, first of all, meeting you, and hopefully all the viewers will like and subscribe and join your blog, because
Thank you.
definitely going to get a lot of value out of it. So hope you have a great day, and thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Vinny. Thanks for inviting me. I'm not very good on video, but you know, you try to give it a go. All right.
All good.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Late Starter Fire, for agreeing to participate in this blog. It's very much appreciated. Don't forget to check out her blog. The link is in the description below. Sign up. Make sure you sign up. Check out her action plan, because this will put you on the path to retirement. And hey, at the end of the day, we want to be wealthy. We want to do it right and as quickly as possible, ideally. So make sure you check out her blog. It's a fantastic read. There's fantastic stories on other people in similar situations who've gone through the same process, or have maybe reached the end, or are working on reaching the end. Hopefully you've enjoyed this content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you later.